Is it started recording?
Yeah.
Right, so today is Sunday, September 11th, 2016, and this is the beginning of an interview with
Paul Shay.
Paul Shay at the VFW Veterans Village at Fort McCoy, Ocala. My name is Thomas Humphrey, and I will be the interviewee. Also present is Sam Kukowski, who will operate the video. So, where and when were you born?
I was born in Jamestown, New York, March 25th, 1953. I tell everybody I was born in the South, 70 miles south of Buffalo, New York.
So how old are you today?
I'm 63.
So who are your parents and what did they do?
Well, my dad was a preacher. He was Air Force. It used to be the Army Air Force then, and he was in combat. And then after he got out, he became a preacher. And my mother was Carol Shay. Now she was pretty much a housewife. She worked a few times when we needed her, but she was pretty much a housewife plus a pastor's wife, which did a lot of work.
Okay, so did you have any siblings?
I got one brother,
What was his name?
Philip Shay. We both claimed to be the only child, though.
Did he serve in the military?
No.
No.
He was 4F because he has bad hearing.
So what were you doing before you entered the service?
See, I was working in hospitals as an orderly.
When did you enter the service?
July 9th, 1973, I think it was. I was in the Navy in 71.
Whatever he's talking about, on to that. Right.
So I joined the Navy first, then I got out, went to the Air Force.
So you joined or were you drafted?
Joined.
Joined, okay.
My number was probably close. I joined the Navy instead of being drafted.
Yeah. So you chose the Navy?
Yeah.
Why did you decide to choose the Navy?
I don't know, I like boats. Or, excuse me, ships.
Yeah.
Get in trouble if you say boat.
Yeah. Why they just officially call them ships?
Yeah.
So what was your rank?
Well, I got out of there and went in the Air Force. I became an E4 sergeant.
And where did you serve?
Texas, New Jersey, Florida, New York. That's where I got out.
All over.
Yeah.
Where did you receive your training?
McGuire Air Force Base in New Jersey. I was OJT, on-job training.
So what was the training like?
It was just like a regular job. You know, I was training for a dental technician as a medic,
okay.
so.
Okay.
That's one thing I didn't like about the Air Force. It was just like a 9-to-5 job after you got out of basic.
Oh, okay.
You know.
So you were working as a medic though?
Yeah. And then I joined the Honor Guard just, because felt more like military. I did the firing party for the, like funerals and that, and then I'd do the guard for parades and that.
Okay. Okay. Did you have any kind of like special training?
Just the Honor Guard. I was what they call an 8 level in the dental field. That was advanced level. I worked a lot with computers and things like that. The fly people have to get in and get their dental exams because if they have a bad tooth and they pull in the 4G dye, it's going to really hurt bad. So we had to pull all the flying people in, plus the regular people in the Air Force.
Mm-hmm. And that was kind of before a lot of the computers were as complex.
No, they're not. They're still pretty good, but they're not like today.
Yeah. So do you remember your instructors?
Yeah.
What were they like?
Tough.
Tough?
One guy was a real tough guy, and the other guy was a nice guy, kind of good cop, bad cop.
Oh, all right.
So they were rough.
Yeah.
One as rough as the Navy, though.
Oh, the Navy was more.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Air Force kind of like summer camp.
No.
Boy Scout summer camp.
Yeah. So how did you kind of adapt to the life over time?
I enjoyed it. I like it more military. I like camping, and firing and stuff like that. So I don't know.
So you got used to it more easily.
Oh yeah.
Were you married?
Not then.
What was the physical regimen like?
In the Navy, it was real rough. Air Force, you only had to run a mile once a year. That's all you had to do for that.
So what about the Navy then?
All you had to do the 96 count manual with a rifle. That's you have your rifle and you got to bend down and pick it up. There's 103, I think it's 103 counts of it. They call it the 96 count. You had to do running and you had to do PT every day and physical training. And
What about the barracks? What were they like?
well, my first in the Navy, they were 1,000-man dorms. They were pretty nice. Then when we went in the Air Force, I was one of the last guys in the old dorms. They weren't air conditioned or anything, and the dust balls would roll down the center of the aisle, and you had to have everything spotless,
Yeah.
So we'd get the floors all waxed up real nice, and then TI, the technical instructor, DI, he'd come walking in with his cleats right across our floor. He'd go, no!
Had to redo the whole thing.
Yeah.
What about the food? How was that?
Well, when I was in Texas, it was great, because they had shrimp all the time, because they got it off the sea there. And, it was pretty good all over.
How about your social life? What was that
Well,
there?
let's see. In the Navy, you didn't really have one. And in the Air Force, when I got permanent party, that means your main base for your station. I had a girlfriend, and so I'd drive about 45 minutes to see her, and then we went to the church. That's where I met her. And like one time, we were on call. All the medics were on call for Zaire, Africa. They had an uprising, and so you had to be within half an hour of the base. But my colonel let me go a little farther,
Yeah. So did you serve during the war, or?
I was during Nam, but I wasn't in Nam.
All right. Where were you when that was taking place?
Great Lakes and Illinois, Chicago, Illinois.
Okay.
That's where I served my time in the Navy, medic.
Did you ever go overseas as part of the military?
New Jersey.
Basically a different
No.
country.
Yeah. I tell everybody I fought the Battle of Trenton, New Jersey. You have to know Trenton for that. No, I never went overseas.
So you were never in combat.
No, just except for the Battle of Trenton.
Did you ever see people with because you were a medic? Did you ever see serious cases coming in?
Sometimes, but like one time, we're in our dorms. Oh, I was going to tell you, yeah. And after they closed down those dorms, they said we're in the basic. Then they went to the 1,000-man dorms. That's 3 floors. They're air conditioned, real nice. But one time we're in our dorms and we heard this loud boom. We were right off the flight line, so we thought a plane had crashed. So all of us go running up there. Here the guys that were fueling the planes didn't ground it to the pit, so the sparks started going around. So that was the most major thing. The guys weren't hurt too bad, but that was they had their heavy parkas on because it was winter time there.
Okay.
So they weren't hurt too bad, but.
Were you ever injured as part of your
No.
time? No.
I had my wisdom teeth taken out.
Oh. So did you look up to any of your commanding officers?
Yeah, we had a full bird colonel, Colonel Mello, and he was the nicest guy. And if you had a problem, you just go talk to him. And then there was another full bird. He's the one that helped. No, that was a light colonel that helped with but the colonel, he was all military. He was a good guy, and I used to honor guard. I'd be up there with a rifle, saluting when all the officers came in. He stopped and told his wife, says, "Here's one of my top troops." That made me feel pretty good.
Yeah.
Because instead of sitting around, I always found something to do. It's too boring just for me to sit around. I got to be moving all the time.
Yeah.
What does a full bird and a light bird mean?
Well, full bird is a full colonel, and light colonel is a lieutenant colonel. It's the difference between one. They're all O, and it's just the difference between one pay grade. Light colonel and a full bird. Like the commander here, he was a light colonel.
So what about the people you served with? Did you admire any of them?
Oh yeah, all of them. They're all hardworking.
What kind of friendships did you get while in the
Lifelong.
military?
I'm still in contact with some of them. And then my favorite one, he was a captain. He just made captain when I was in. Then I just found out from a friend of mine, he was a light colonel, and I guess he went down with a plane. I never heard from him again.
Mm-hmm.
He was killed.
So he was your best friend that you made, or
Yeah.
who?
Yeah, he was also the head of the honor guard,
Oh.
which I was in. But
Yeah.
he's a nice guy. We call him Norm off duty, but during duty, then we had to call him. At that time he was lieutenant. We call him lieutenant.
Who are some of the other people you met?
Let's see, there was a guy from my own hometown. I never met him until I got in there. We're still pretty good friends. We still keep in contact. And then I had a couple of roommates. One roommate, I was in contact till just a couple of years ago, and I don't know what happened to him. And I met a lot of good friends.
How did you stay in contact with people from back home?
One side of the story. Oh,
I said,
well, that's all right. I don't mind. He talks so much his gums hurt.
I said.
So how did you stay in contact with people back home?
Mostly through phone. And then the one guy that was in my town, we used to go out for coffee and stuff, and things like that. And then sometime I was driving semi for a while, so when I got loaded to Jersey, we had what we called the Christian Servicemen's Center. And so I'd come up there and meet a lot of the guys, and talk and do things.
What other stuff would you do when you were off duty?
Ping pong, church services. And then the one church, I took a week of leave and, I set up a tent, and helped with the kids and that. I've always worked with kids. I was a youth pastor of a church and everything, So I always liked kids.
Did you get a lot of sleep, or was it kind of restless?
You mean during that time or during the service?
More during the service.
No, I slept good. Now when I'm older is when I don't sleep good.
Yeah. So how did you return home?
Well, I got off. I was going to go back to college. Then I did eventually. But my uncle asked me to run his trucking company for him, so I did that for a while. So then I decided to drive truck. And then I was running over the road. That means where you don't get home every night.
Yeah.
And then I met my wife and said, there's no sense in being married if you only get home once a month. So I quit and went on local runs, hauling gasoline.
Okay.
And then eventually I hurt my back, so that's when I went back to college to be a youth pastor.
So how long were you away during your service?
Well, I was gone completely for 2 years pretty much. And then I was in 4 years guard. I was, pretty much home most of the time.
Okay.
Except for your 2-week nap.
Were you kind of like celebrated by your community?
Well, the first time, no. Because when you came home in uniform during NOM, people spit at you and call you a baby killer and all kinds of stuff. So then the second time, it was later. It was pretty good then. But the first time it was you took your uniform off first thing you got home.
Yeah. Was it difficult to adjust to go back to living to civilian life, or?
Somewhat. You don't have the regiment, Had a lot of leeway in the service, If you wanted to go somewhere, they had what they call a basket leave. You get a couple days to go somewhere, and you'd always hitch a ride on a plane if you wanted to.
So after you left the service, you were then you did trucking for a while,
Yeah.
and then you were a youth pastor.
Yes.
Okay. What were your most memorable things that happened to you when you were serving?
Most memorable things were my friends.
Yeah.
It's kind of like here. There's a brotherhood. Because they've been through the same things you have, and So it was mostly the people, you know, and you made good friends with your officers, and you know, and so, you know,
Did your service impact how you felt about like war in general or the
No.
military? No.
See, I'm a Christian. A lot of them don't believe in war, but even you go back in the Old Testament, God had them fighting battles, you know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's wrong to go kill somebody, but if you're fighting for your country or a cause, I don't think it's wrong.
Okay. So how did your service kind of affect how you lived later on?
Gave me more respect for people, and you know, the underclass, and see, the thing with the service, how do I say this? Like, especially in the Navy, black and white, it kind of separated you because there's a whole different lifestyle. And some of them were pretty mean. I mean, white people could be mean too, but like one time in the Air Force, I was watching a movie, and we didn't have TVs in our room, and they came around me and circled me and says, "You don't want to watch us, do you? We want to watch a basketball game." So I just had to get up and leave. So there is some division that way, but I had a lot of friends that were black. But I mean, it's different mentality in the service.
So did you know any people who kind of suffered after their service or had difficulty adjusting?
Yeah, I knew a lot of guys that came out of Nam, you know, that had PTSD, and like one of them, we're at a county fair, and you know, they send, when they do the fireworks, they send that big bright light up. He dove underneath a car,
Oh,
you know, because he thought it was a mortar coming or something. And then one friend of mine, he couldn't cope with coming back, so he wore a uniform all the time. He went through the swamps and you know that, you know. So a lot of people didn't really come back.
Like mentally they were
Yeah.
still there.
Right.
Did it? You said you were a Christian, so did your experiences affect you spiritually?
Yeah, because well, in Texas, I belonged to. It was called a serviceman's house. You know, because you know it's just you know, a few of us. But then, like in New Jersey, Fort Dix was right next to our Air Force base. That's an Army base, and at the time they were training soldiers. So we'd go in, you know, and then pick them up with a bus, bring and have a, you know, I had a good meal. You know, they had games and stuff, and then they had a service. You know, so that really strengthened my faith.
And then that also kind of affected you becoming a youth pastor too.
Well, I was a pastor's kid, preacher's kid.
Yeah.
So I always wanted to be a preacher, but I don't know, I never came around till I you know, got older. I was never good at school till I got older.
So would you want your son or daughter to ever join the military?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think it's a good training. Plus, see, now I've got the GI Bill, so I can go to the doctors free. I get all my medication free. So, you know, it paid off. And now they can go to school under the GI Bill. When I went back to college, I only had 2 months left, so I never applied for that. Because then it was GI Bill, now it's where you put in so much and then they match it. So it's different. I'd suggest anybody, any young person go in the military. It's good training.
It kind of changes your
Right.
your life.
Change the attitude.
Yeah, exactly.
We had a lot of guys coming in right out of high school, and you know they're all fun and games. Then they, you know, then they get to the DI, you know, TI trade truckers. They're not kids anymore. You know.
And I mean, a lot of people come in who they don't really, you know, the people coming out of high school don't really have any direction or know what they want to do, and it kind of helps form them.
And then when I was in the Navy, it was more to get out of the draft. A lot of them came in for, you know, so I didn't have to go to the Army to Vietnam.
Are you a member of veteran organizations? No. What kind of lessons did you learn serving the military?
Learned, how do I want to put it, how to follow through on things and have respect for people, especially our military people. It's like my dad, he was in World War II, you know, he was in Africa and Italy, and some of the stories these guys have here, like the one guy we're talking to up front, he was in a plane that crashed, and one eyeball's hanging out, his shoulder was down to, you know, he had, you know, just stories like that to really give you respect for people.
What kind of stuff do you think needs to be passed on to today's generation? What kind of lessons?
Loyalty.
Loyalty?
And now everybody's loyal to themselves, and and it's now it was black and white when I was younger. Now it's how do I say, you can't have Christianities in the school, and you got to be politically correct, and like, well, I don't want to, I'm not saying anything wrong, but homosexuals, that used to be something you're ashamed of. Now they're allowed to get married, and there's not the patriotism there used to be.
Is there anything you think I should have asked you about the military?
Did you enjoy it?
Did you enjoy it?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
In fact, I would have stayed in if it meant for a girl. Women are.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are too young.
Well, that's all the questions
Okay.
I have.
Well, the interview has to be at least 30 minutes.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you have any stories you'd
Yeah.
like to share or anything along those lines.
Most of them I can't tell. No, no, I'll see. There's, the feeling. I didn't like when they had us. We thought we're going to Zaire in Africa. I didn't even know where Zaire was. All of a sudden they said we're going into war. They had the planes sitting on the runway. With the engines running, waiting to take us. They calmed down and it was like during my first time. It was such a shock to come home and everybody hated you. That was the biggest cultural shock I ever had. People would spit at you and, like I say, call you baby killers, and that was hard because I still do. I love my country, and that's why I feel sad about what's going on with it nowadays. I'm not endorsing either candidate, but it's just it's so mudslinging, and there's not they don't care about the country. They're just talking about, well, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, build a wall, we're going to, all this stuff, instead of caring about the country,
So when you said you were a medic, so were you doing kind of more like routine like checkups and
Yeah,
stuff for the
yeah.
people before they went out, or?
Yeah. Plus, we had to keep the flying status people up to date.
So were the people going out a lot of times, were they really like scared or?
It all
Anxious?
depends. A lot of them were officers that had been there for a while. They
Oh,
weren't, and anybody going into battle is going to be scared. I don't
Yeah.
care who you are, if you're Arnold Schwarzenegger or what, you're still going to be scared. But the young ones, they were the ones, well, it was all gung-ho, we're going to go fight them commies,
Yeah.
And then after they get under fire, it's a whole different thing, and then they're kids, you're just regular people again,
Yeah.
scared to death.
Where did you like on your off nights? Where did you go with the rest of your buddies?
Well, we had a group, and Christian group, like we'd go lots of nights for pizza and subs, and sometimes we'd go away for a weekend and go to amusement parks and that, and a lot of them, I don't ski, but a lot of them, take trips going up skiing and stuff, so made a lot of close friends there, and a lot of camaraderie, so that's what I really enjoyed the most.
You said you watched movies. What kind of movies did you watch?
Let's see, what was going on back then? I'm trying to think, that was so many years ago. Movies were a little cleaner then. But, that's before everybody used the F word in movies and were naked, and, so I liked, the action movies, that's what I liked. So that was my favorite. And comedies.
What was your favorite base that you were stationed at?
San Antonio. That's where basic training was. I went back afterwards. And had 3 stripes. You were a god there.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. No, sir.
A little bit different from when you're with the colonels.
Yeah. But like one time, they had the river walk in San Antonio, and we went down there, and it was a whole group of, and this is a different time, and so they were all dancing, and then there was one black girl. She's kind of like the leader of everybody. She was up there dancing by herself, and You know, then they came out. I don't know if you guys are too young to remember the song "We Are Family."
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we're all up there together dancing to that. You know, I didn't drink, but I had a good time anyway. You know.
So
Your father was a pastor. What did he think about you joining the military?
Oh, he was World War II himself.
Was
Yeah, he thought I don't not really an obligation, but it's calling. You know, where I think it's like England. Everybody does 2 years of service. You know, I think that's why it should be here. But down a lot of these, I won't mention any names, but a lot of these politicians are cutting back the military. You know, I think that's going to catch us off guard. You know, and that's why when I was in the service, everybody's going to get out if Ronald Reagan didn't win. Because it was Carter then. You know, he was just so wishy-washy. But Reagan, we call him bombs away Reagan, you know, because he had backbone, you know. So that's what the military needs.
what you said you were honor guard. What kind of things? What were your responsibilities as an honor guard?
Well, the honor guard, we went to military funerals. My job was the firing party. You know, they call it 7 gun salute, but
Yeah.
you don't have to have 7 guns. You can have 5 or 3. You know, but we always had 7. And you fired, you know, the volleys. And then then when I was in a parade, I was the guard, you know, with the gun, you know, in the flags. You know, that was pretty much my duty. I loved it.
Yeah.
It was kind of military.
Yeah.
Had walked around in uniforms and, you know, chrome helmets and guns. And that was funny. We're in, I think it was New York City or New Jersey, I forget what. And it was right in a bad section of town. We all of us come off with our guns, you know. I wouldn't do that, man. They thought we were coming for war or something, you know.
Loading up.
How long did you serve in the honor guard?
About a year. I was in there, yeah. I loved it. And a lot of people liked it too because you got what you call separate rats. That's rations. You didn't have to eat in the chow hall. They gave you, you know, they gave you so much per diem to eat out, you know. Especially when you're on a funeral or something, they gave you more. But like they always give you they give you so much a month to buy your own food. So I like that because I went out to eat a lot with the guys.
You went off. Did you usually go off base too?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's always a lot of places around the military base. You know, well, see now, our base, McGuire, was right here, and then right behind it was Fort Dix, an Army base. And they were a training base, so you always had a lot of things to rip off the soldiers, you know. And then on our side, they had, you know, sub, pizza, a few massage parlors, stuff like that, you know. Because that's around every military installation.
Did you have any regrets about the military?
No,
or
not at all.
there was never a point where you regretted joining?
I got bored, but I wanted to cross train and so I joined, be a fight jets or work on jets or something, and so that's why I was going to cross train. Like I said, then a woman wanted me to get out, so I got out. I was going to be a lifer. That's what you call somebody that's in for 20 to 30 years, lifers.
Did you kind of get like? Did it always feel like you were had some kind of purpose, or did sometimes it just kind of felt?
Well, especially being a medic, lots of times, you just staying around the base. I mean, like in basic and in the honor guard, you're marching with rifles, and it just felt military. Where when you get out, when you're not in the honor guard or you're not in basic, it's just kind of like a 9-to-5 job. In fact, I shared a house with one of my we call them first shirts. They're non-commissioned officers. We shared a house outside of town. I just had to keep a locker and a bed up in the dorms. So it was kind of like 9-to-5 job then.
Yeah. Oh, anything else? Any other stories or?
I better not tell you that story. No. Let me see. Like I say, I met a lot of good people there,
Yeah.
People willing to lay down their life for their country. It meant something. Where nowadays, patriotism doesn't seem to mean anything. Now it's just people are out for what they can get, because it used to be people loved this country, but now with all the correct political correctness, things have, gone, where in the handbasket.
All right, I think that's probably our interview, right?
All right. Well, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, I was kidding.